Hi Lamai, welcome to the support webinar conducted by the AAT Institute on the subject business management for the second level of AAT. So this would be done in full in English. So if you guys feel like, okay, English is not my core thing, but I'm a student from single medium, you can go back to the YouTube channel and you can find the single medium video also. But welcome. If you are an English medium student coming to learn more about business management, then you are in the right place. So I'm Sunny Ravas. You can find me wherever you go in Google. Go and search Sunny Ravas. You will get all my contact portfolios, everything. So without any further ado, I just want to get into today's core thing, right? So as you can see in the screen, right? Today we are going to discuss three topics inside this main subject in a more of a revision scenario. The core of this entire webinar is to give or to understand these three subjects in a more of a revision scenario, right? So this entire slide deck and also the presentations and everything I have made, I have gone through the past 10 years of past papers and have taken the questions out of these three lessons. Plus I have added here and there new questions, which I feel like is an important topic, an important area to be discussed, right? So without any further ado, let's jump into today's discussions, right? So before we get into detail, right, I want to share about a little hint about this subject, right? So we know, Lamai, generally this as a subject is a bit more theoretical, right? Product theoretical subject, right? You might feel a little bit demotivated, a little bit boring about this subject. But you need to understand like this, right? So let's give an example. Let's take, okay, the full subject of BMA, right? The full subject of BMA. And let's see, we have multiple lessons, right? Multiple lessons. You can find, right? So I'll put it as lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and lesson 4, right? You have multiple lessons. So each of these lessons, right? Right? Each of these lessons, you have multiple concepts, right? So concept 1, concept 2, blah, 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 right? You have multiple concepts. So if, right, you are really going to get ready for this subject, right? Yes, you need to understand the core of this subject and core of these topics, but most importantly, you have a couple of things that you need to keep in mind, right? You have the areas. Yes, I'm going to go through all the areas today. And also there are core, right? Core parts of each of these subjects, right? So what are these core areas or core parts of each of these topics, right? Concept 1, concept 2, concept 3, right? We have multiple concepts. So what you need to understand is, right? And also just reflect on yourself. In each of these concepts, right? Do I know first one? What you need to know, you need to define it or you need to explain it, right? I'll write it as definition or define. In this define, Lamai, this doesn't mean you have to by heart each and every word, each and every sentence, right, of this entire definition. It's not the case, right? You need to understand, you need to identify the core or the most important words that you need to explain a concept. Example, management, right? You don't need 100% of definition coming from Peter Drucker, right? You can write your own definition. It's fine. But you need to understand the core words, the process or the planning, organizing, leading, controlling. Those keywords is most important. So every time, Lamai, right? Whenever that you learn a topic, right? Specifically in this sort of more theoretical areas, right? You need to understand what are the definitions that I can derive, right? The first one is definitions. Second one is another one which will help you to define a definition is the features, right? If there might be features, right? There might be features, there might be characteristics, right? We call them as, right, characteristics, right? Those things are also important. Apart from that, you need to understand whether there is an impact, right? If this is a big definition, right, there might be impacts, right? You need to understand the effects or the impacts, right? Okay, if it happens, what will happen, right? And last but not least, right, the advantages and disadvantages, right? Lamai me hatara, these four, right, is like the most important things you need to keep in mind for each of these concepts. So today I'm going to go into most of the concepts, most of the things, right? And in there, I have tried my best to give you all these 4 parts. So the PPT might look little cluttered, right? It's okay, because if you want, you can download this, right? And if the institute doesn't provide this one, you can find me, as I said, you can find me in Google, right? Search my name, right? You will get it, or you can contact in my LinkedIn, in my emails also. And I'll share this PPT with you. If you want, print it, right? Print it, right? And then you can mark, you can cut, chop, right? This is going to be like a short note for these 3 subjects, right? So I want to give these glimpse just before we get things started, right? I hope we both are in the same page. And now let's get into more detail, right? So today's discussion, right? The first discussion will start with marketing, right? So marketing management is comparatively not a very big lesson, right? But we'll cover most of the aspects that you need to understand in your level, right? So today we are going to discuss marketing and its importance. Then we are going to discuss about the STP model, segmenting, targeting, and positioning, right? Aram calling you concept, definition, impact, and all things. Let's go through these things, right? Then we'll talk about marketing mix, then the marketing philosophies, or some people call it as approaches, branding, digital marketing, and ethics in marketing, right? Okay, marketing, right? As I said, you need to understand what is marketing management, and it doesn't necessarily mean you need to buy heart all the things, right? So this might be more of an orthodox topic, right? Or the orthodox discussion, right? So marketing, we know what is marketing, right? So marketing is someone would say it's an art, someone would say it's a science, right? But if someone want to describe marketing as a whole, I would recommend use these words, right? Marketing is a process, right? Maybe you can clearly identify it's a process, right? So it's a process of blah 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 blah, right? What are blah 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 blah? You can understand marketing is a process of planning and executing the conception, pricing, promotion, and distribution of ideas and goods and services. So maybe distribution of these things, right? In order to create, exchange, satisfy individual and organizational objectives, right? So simple story. It's a process where it distributes ideas, goods, and services to satisfy individual organizations' objectives. And someone can say it provides customer value, right? It is an art and a science, right? So as I mentioned, when you describe a concept, right, you need to get these words into your mind. And if the examiner asks you, define, mostly examiner will ask you, explain, right? Define vada, right? Examiner will test you, explain. So explain means you need to get whatever things you can take from here and there, and you can derive a definition which is core to you, right? So that is simply in marketing management. So example, examiner might ask, as I mentioned, might be defined, might be explained. So based on that, you can play around with your definitions, right? Okay, next one. What are the importance of marketing management? So if the examiner asks you what are the importance, right? You can use this one line explanation and don't spend more time on writing a very lengthy explanation for each point, right? So why we need marketing? It's very clear cut, right? Why we need marketing, Lamai? For business growth, right? For customer engagement, to do market research, to optimize resource utilization, builds image, and so on and so forth. But technically, just to give you a context for today's lesson, right? Marketing is where when you produce a product, right? How you take this product to the end consumer, whether it might be through branding, whether it might be through promotion, it might be through a proper pricing, right? So that is simply what is marketing all about, right? So in the exam, they have asked these 2 questions, right? So you can go through and it won't make a huge impact in your study plan today, right? Let's go. So this is another one, which is frequent testing. What is STP? So when you do marketing, just to give you context, right? So assume, right, this is your full, right, population. And this is your full population. So what you do is you first, right, segment it. Right? So let's see like this, right? I'm not good at art, but I'll try to segment, right? So what you do is like you take the full one and you segment, right? What do you mean segment, right? You're trying to get people grouped with common characteristics, right? Segment in simple. You're going to divide, right, a broad customer segment, right, into subgroups. Look, you take it into subgroups based on shared characteristics, based on common characteristics, right? So you first segment it, then you pick, right, what is best for you, right? Which is in simple, assume this is your best one, right? Which we call as targeting, right? You segment and then you pick, and then you are trying to send your message, which is your positioning. But we'll go into detail those things, right? Hari. So what is the requirement for an effective segmenting? Lamai, when you do segmentation, right, you can make a segment based on just top of your mind what you got, right? You can do like that, right? So a proper segment need to have these characteristics, right? What lamai palaweniga, right? We call it as MASDA, M-A-S-D-A, right? It should be measurable, right? It should be measurable. Your segment should be measurable, right? Maybe because of the size, maybe based on the size, right? Bang, within a cover, by any chance, if you ever had run a Facebook ad, right? You will notice this, right? Whenever that you put run a notice Facebook ad, Facebook ad they show you the audience size. So million gana size that is, you have to be measurable. The audience should be segment should be measurable. Then it should be accessible. What do you mean accessible, right? Whatever the distribution channels you use, maybe it's third-party logistics, maybe you deliver by yourself, that should be accessible, right? Assume you're trying to sell a product, right? Or you try to understand a segment outside Sri Lanka, but you don't have a way to ship those products. Then it is not accessible, right? Then it has to be substantial, right? Substantial means significance. Significance why do I gonna do business, right? If you don't even enough, you can if you can't rather enough or make enough profits, right? Why you need to do business? It has to be substantial and differential. Differential means assume okay, there are two set of different types of segments, right? These segments should be differed from the others. Right? Example, we have male and female, right? So female also you can divide into different groups, right? 18 to 20, 20 to 25, age-wise, right? But if you are selling, right? If you are selling a product, right? Maybe a small, maybe makeup or something, right? And if you just use a normal moisturizing cream, right? Not a skin care, white care, blah, 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 right? It might be normal moisturizing cream, right? And you are trying to differentiate, segment these groups as 18 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30. Likewise, you're trying to separate them. But actually, in reality, right, you don't need to do like that, right? Because there is no difference, right? You can have two segments, 18 to 40 and 40 plus. So that is understood, right? So you have to be differentiated, right? And there should be two different, right? You have to be different segments where they will respond separately, and you will have to use different things for different audiences. Differential. The last one is actionable, right? So we need to have, as an organization, plans or proceedings where we can do actions for these segments. ඉතින් මේ ඔක්කොම fulfill වුණාම තමයි ළමයි අපි කියන්නේ එක proper segment එකක් කියලා. නැත්නම් වගේ segmentation එක has been properly done, has been effective, right? Segment is this, right? The one that I have marked, this is a segment. The process of making this is called the segmentation, right? Okay. So what are the bases of segmentation as we discussed, right? The easiest thing is geography, right? Where, demography, what, based on the age, so on and so forth. Behavior, right? Like example, their buying pattern, right? So whether they are more online buying purchase, like the Gen Z crowd, maybe the buying from online, but more of like baby boomers, right? They might hardly gonna go online, right? So where are they gonna buy? Their behavior and their psychography, their lifestyle, their hobbies, their trades, right? Assume you are doing a t-shirt, right? Or a t-shirt brand එකක් නම් අපි දෙමු example like Carnage වගේ කියලා, right? Then Carnage is very famous in Sri Lanka, right? Product like Carnage, right? So Carnage know, right? Their audiences, personalities, their hobbies, their lifestyle, they are more workout oriented, Gen Z, right? But never going to be a person, right? More than 40, 50, most probably. But you need to understand, right? So based on that, you can derive your segmentation. So these are the bases for segmentation. In reality, these are the grounds you use to differentiate your audience. Harry. Then what are the advantages, right, of proper segmentation? As I said, concept, right? You have the concept of segmentation. So we discuss, right, definition, we discuss its features, they discuss its impacts, and now we are going to discuss about its advantages, right? So why you need a segment link, Lamai? You can find all the things I mentioned, but just to give you a context, right, to understand, right? Rather than doing everything, right, for everyone, when you do more focused, more targeted oriented marketing, right, it is more effective, right? So you have more focus, a clear cut focus, and the efficiency and effectiveness of your campaigns are very high, right? And also, right, high customer retention. Tamai godak kalaවට in marketing, right, people think acquiring a customer is the most important thing. Yes, acquiring customers are most important, but retaining a customer is the next best important thing. You try your best to acquire a customer and then you have to retain it. I'll tell you a simple example from my experience, right? So I used to work in one of the biggest e-commerce companies in Sri Lanka and also in the world, right? I worked in the Sri Lankan chapter, but it's a part and parcel of a big e-commerce giant in the world, right? One of the biggest, right? So we wanted to penetrate e-commerce into Sri Lankan context. Right? So we want to get more people into the platform, right? Our e-commerce app, we had an app, right? You might know. So we had our segmentations. We know, okay, geographically, these are the segments, right? So when I was there, Western province is one of the core areas, core segments, right? Manko geography, Western province, and provincially we did it, right? Why? Because our delivery service is more capable on those geographies. So what happened was, Lamai, right? Before that, right, we used to do all our marketing focused on full country, but the impact was very, 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 I won't say it's bad, but it's okay, but nothing major. But what we did is like we segment it, right? How? Based on geography. And then we use a different way of targeting with a different message, right, to each of these segments. I'll tell a simple example. Okay, let's say Western province. I'll take an example, Western province, Northern province, and also more of Eastern and South provinces, right? So we use most of the English content, right, to the Western province audience. And we use Tamil content, right, for the Northern province audience. And we use a mix of Sinhala and English for the Southern province audience. And would you believe the efficiency of those campaigns were really high? More app downloads, right? And most importantly, people retain with the platform. නැත්තම් ගොඩක් කරාට වෙන්නේ මොකද ළමයි people app එක download කරගන්නවා ඊට පස්සේ drop off වෙලා යනවා, right? එහෙම වුණේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් අය platform එකේ ඉන්න පටන් ගත්තා. And we try to translate the app, right, into English and into Tamil also. So a customer has an option, right, to switch their language upon their interest. So that's that sort of advantage you have in segmentation, right? So but enhanced focus, efficiency, more market fit, more product fit, and higher customer retention and competitive advantage, right? We are not the only e-commerce party, it was there in the country, right? And better communication, as I said, better communication and more optimized pricing and so on and so forth, right? We first segment it, properly segment it. Now we are going to target it, right? So what is targeting, right? In simple, targeting is selecting that specific segment, right? And then put all our efforts and resources towards it. As I mentioned, lamai අපි business එක කරන් යද්දි මොකද කරේ? මුලින්ම Western province තමයි tap කරේ. Why? It is the easiest one and it is the most proximate, and also we have the capacity to do. Once we tapped into the Western province, we try to expand it to other provinces, right? So why it's important, Lamai? Efficient allocation of resources, better understanding of the customer, enhance advantages, satisfaction, more focus, so on and so forth. So if you can see, Lamai, right? Rather than doing everything to everyone, you first segment and then you properly target. Okay, then what are the ways that you can target, right? Or what are the types of the strategies? You have mass targeting, right? Or undifferentiated lamai. Undifferentiated. Again, you don't have a real kind of very niche or very narrowed down targeting. You go with like a full-fledged marketing message. I'll again tell a simple example. As you guys are like Gen Z, like Taruna, right? I would say not Taruna, but same like my age, right? So the topic I was discussing is all about Daras, right? But you might have heard about Daras 1111, right? I used to work in Daras, but not right now, right? So I can talk openly about these things. So when we run 1111 campaign, relate right? So when we run 1111 campaign, we use undifferentiated targeting. Again, we don't target these places and everything. We go very big. You might have seen we run TV ads, right? We run YouTube ads, we run everywhere. Why? We treat the entire market as a one group, right? Who want to buy something for 1111, right? So that is undifferentiated. And then again, we have what? Differentiated targeting, right? More differentiated. It means we target multiple segments, right? So example, let's understand like this, right? So we have the full segment, right? Full market. This is the full population, right? So this is undifferentiated. So I'll mark like this, right? So it's undifferentiated. Then you divide, yeah, and then you identify, okay, from these two, okay, I'll go with these two. This is differentiated, but not full. Product split, right? Like example, you target multiple segments. Difference multiple segments with different marketing strategies. Then you go concentrated, right? Concentrated means again from here, you go into 1-1-1-1. This is more concentrated, right? So you went into whole 3, then you narrow down to 2, and then you went to 1, right? And then the last one is micro marketing, where from here, right, we tapped individual customers, right? Where specific X customer in here, right? This is called as micro marketing, right? එතකොට ළමයි ඔයාලා marketing නම් කරන්න හිතන් ඉන්න ඉස්සරහට. Trust me, these things are the core, right? The core things that you want to understand. So in the exam, they might ask you the difference between differentiated marketing or undifferentiated marketing and concentrated marketing. So undifferentiated, we call it as mass, and concentrated is more focused, right? All right. Then what is positioning ළමයි? ඔන්න දැන් අපි segment කරා කට්ටියව අපිට පස්සේ set එකක් identify කරගත්ත target කරා. Then we are trying to position. What is positioning? What positioning in simple terms is the process of defining and communicating how a brand is different from another. Different, right? Define and communicate. Simple words, position karanne kohomada. How are we going to place it? How we are going to place the brand, right, in the consumer's mind. One of the best examples for this is Apple. How Apple did it, right? Lamai, if you really use, I also use Apple phone to be honest, but if you really use, the geeks might know there's no much significant difference between Apple phone and Samsung phone. Some would say Samsung is better than Apple, but that positioning, right, that placement to make a product, right, a brand, a more of an premium, right, more differentiated, right, that is called positioning, right? So the importance of positioning is that it's very easy to clear cut and identify the brand with your competitors, right? So whether you're going to position it based on your costs, based on your price, right, or based on something else, right, that is identified as positioning. So importance, as I mentioned, it's easy for you to clear cut, differentiate. Okay, this is you or my competitor, and this is me, and I'm different from him. And that's the difference, right? ඕක ළමයි positioning කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. ඉතින් අපි ඔයාලා marketing ලොකුට ඉගෙන ගන්නවා නම්, right? You will do these things in more day-to-day manner, right? So I'm a person who didn't study marketing as a subject, but I'm a person who ended up being in marketing field more often, right? than what you have learned, right? So because of that, I learned a lot in my past experience on the ground, right? So මේක ළමයි අපි හිතන්න නැති විදිහට මිනිස්සු use කරනවා this segment in targeting and positioning. මේක තමයි the core of the marketing things, right? So what are the positioning strategies ළමයි according to Porter, right? Porter's generic strategies, right? Porter said, right, you have ways that you can derive, right, a strategy, right? You can use, right, you can use the two angles, right? You can use two angles, right, to differentiate or to add an advantage over your competition, right? එයා කියනවා, right, what he said is like, if, right, you can play around, right, with a low cost angle or more with a differentiated angle. Example, then Sri Lanka වල නම් ළමයි අපි නිකන් ගමු සතොස, right? සතොස ගම ඔළුවට එන්න මොකද? බඩු ලාභයි. But I don't know බඩු ලාභද කියලා, but බඩු ලාභයි. That's the positioning, right? But in an other way around, right, you might feel like, okay, spa supermarkets, some you might have their supermarket as spa, right? Heels, right? They are not really low cost, right? But if when you take all supermarket chains, we know Satosa is branded as more of low cost. Why? They treat to the entire market, right, with a low cost, right? We call it as cost leadership, right? But on the other hand side, right, maybe you provide a differentiated experience, right? But if you provide it to the total market, you call it as differentiation. The may වෙලාවෙ නම් ළමයි අපි මේකට සතොස්ස නැතුව අපි ගමු හොඳ example එකක් like in mobile phones, right? In mobile phones, we know you offer to the full market, the total market, but with a more differentiated, more unique product, right? That is example of Apple. Apple is in here maybe, right? They have a differentiated product, right? But with a slightly for the total. And Oppo, Vivo might be in here, right? I write Oppo in here, right? So your price is low, you have a cost efficiency and you charge, right? And then there is another, right, type of market segmentation, right? Or the positioning, what Porter suggested. You can focus not on the total market, you can focus on the very niche markets. What do you mean by niche, lamai? Ara mankiyo micro. Podi set එකක්. ලොකු market එකේ podi set එකක්, right? Can provide a special product. And that product can be either differentiated or either more cost focused, right? ඕක තමයි ළමයි positioning strategy එක mainly තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේක exam එකේදී අහන්න පුළුවන්. Right? මොනවද මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ? You need to understand how to draw this, right? කොහොමද මේක draw කරන්න ළමයි? You have two axes, right? You have the cost axis, right? And you have the market axis, right? Scope. Right? Then you have the total market, you have the niche. You have the low cost and you have the differentiation part. Then you split it and then you stuck in the middle. There's a box stuck in the middle where you are not, you don't know where you are actually. You are not even differentiated. You are not even cost oriented. You are stuck in the middle. So in general, we suggest never to be stuck in middle. You pick your quadrant, right? You have to pick as a brand. You have to pick where you stand, right? Where cost leadership there. You can have low cost product එකක්ද offer කරන්නේ for the full market, or whether you're differentiated, you're trying to give a different product, අලුත් product එකක් for a total market, or you focus a very small audience, a niche audience, and try to give them a cost-effective product, right? Or a differentiated focus product, right? So that is understood by Michael Porter's positioning strategies. So as I said, full diagram, I have given it to more focus. What is cost leadership? You're trying to be the lowest cost producer. What is differentiation, unique product, focus a specific market niche, right? And you're trying to give the best you can, right? So as I mentioned, you need to understand the concept, the elements or the characteristics, and the advantages and benefits in each of these things. So I have given everything. Just download, as I said, download. If you can't download, right, you can contact me wherever you will find me. You can find me in YouTube, right? And you can find me in LinkedIn. You can find me in everywhere, right? And contact me. I'll give you this PPT right across the class, right? Perfect. Then the next one, another topic that is tested in exam is this philosophies or the different approaches in marketing, right? So now in marketing, right, we have different approaches, right? One approach is, what do you mean by approaches per se, is the way that how you focus, the way that how you define marketing, right? Marketing focus කරන්න කොහොමද? Marketing වලින් approach කරන්න කොහොමද? That is understood as philosophies. In earlier, people call them as the schools of thoughts, right? Different ways how you perceive marketing, right? So one of the topic that we're going to discuss is production, right? The production concept suggested that marketing means that you have to produce something at efficiently and at a large scale and drop the price, sell to a huge quantity. Look, available and affordable. What is production? You focus more on the word production. Produce as much as you can at a lowest cost, the most largest scale, and make it available at the cheapest price. Okay, that's production concept. This is a way of thought, right? So what are the points? You focus on efficiency, you focus on cost, right? Then it evolved, right? And then now the product concept evolved. In product concept, rather than focusing on the production can process, right? Rather than focusing on the production process, you focus on your product, you focus on your quality, right? And the performance of the product, and trying to give something innovative, right? With higher performance, higher quality to the customers. Then focus oriented to the product. Then it's selling concept, where now you have a product, right? You think, okay, we have a product, but you hire a huge sales force and try to focus on aggressive selling. Go very big, right? In sales, right? And you try to sell as much as you can. This is again aggressive pushing, right? This is the place where a company is really focusing on advertising and promotions, right? You are trying your best to push. This example is life insurance, right? Where sometimes the customers really don't want it, but with high amount of sales force, they're trying to push it. Then the marketing concepts approach, where now you are focusing more on customers, right? You're focusing more on the customers, right? So you first talk about production, then you came to product, then you came to sell. Now you are at the marketing, where you focus on the customers. You decide what the customers needs and wants, right? And then try to meet their product, right? You try to give a product to the customers' needs and wants. Then next one is societal marketing concept. Now more just being stick to a customer, you are trying to evolve it to the society, right? Full society, right? And try to give customer satisfaction while making profits and while giving societal welfare. So you're trying to tap into 3 arms, right? Profit, right? And customer satisfaction, and also welfare, right? Welfare, more CSR and all the things. Then it comes on holistic marketing concept. It says, right, yes, you have to do marketing in more of an holistic manner, right? Not only a one specific focus, but you have to do it in more holistic. You can't have to tap all the stakeholders, right? You have to do internal people, you have to take external people, you have to take everyone involved in this marketing process. That is called the holistic marketing process. Value for customers, right? While responsible for everyone, right? That is called holistic marketing. And there is another one, which is a subpart, which is the relationship marketing, which focus more on long-term relationships for loyalty and repeat businesses. මේක ළමයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට focus වෙන්නේ B2B කියන aspect එකට. B2B, business to business trade කරද්දී, business කරද්දී. This is a core concept which is coming in practice, right? All right. Then the next one, marketing mix, which is frequent tested at exam. So now we discuss what is segmenting, what is positioning, what is targeting, right? Okay, තමයි අපේ process එක. Now you're discussing more into more granular level, understanding the marketing mix. So marketing mix is derived with 4 P's: product, price, promotion, and place. So what does the product means? Product means the product, right? The one that you're going to offer, the design of this, quality of this, the features, that is simply the product. Then the price, the way that you are going to sell it to the customer at which price points, whether it's wholesale pricing, whether it's seasonal pricing, whether it's flexible pricing, whether it's flat pricing, whether it's buy one, get one free, right? Or bundle pricing, right? That is pricing. Then the promotions, right? So different types of promotion, whether it's advertising, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's PR, whether it's direct selling, right? Different ways how you're going to promote the product to the customers. And the last but not least, the place. Place means how you are going to distribute it to the customers. Whether it's an offline show or shop, whether it's an online store, whether it's directly selling to the customer, whether it's using a third party, an agent, right? A merchant, right? That is place. මේක තමයි ළමයි simply marketing mix එක. exam එකේදී marketing mix එක frequently අහනවා. මොනවද කියන්නේ? මේ factors හතර මතක තියාගෙන ඉන්න ඕන. You need to keep in mind. And also, what does it simply mean? Because we are going to go into more detail in the next slides. Then the differentiation came around, right? Where people thought that this four P's in marketing mix is more oriented and more focused on the products, but not for service organization. So hence, three more were added that were people, because in service, it is offered by a person most of the time. So people and the process, how it's going to happen. The flow of activities. Example, a restaurant. Not only the product matters, but also the process matters. And the physical evidence. Physical evidence means whatever around us, maybe the banners, maybe the layout, maybe the packaging, whatever things around us understood as physical evidence. ඉතින් මේ slide එක තමයි exam එකේදී frequently අහන part එක. ගොඩක් detail අහන්නේ list down කරන්න තමයි අහන්නේ, right? So you need to keep in mind. Okay, so what is the importance of marketing mix, right? Having marketing mix will help you to do whatever things that you want to do in marketing, right? Marketing කියන එක තමයි marketing mix එකේ තියෙන අපි කියන අපි කියමු example එකක් විදිහට it might be more of a steps you can follow to do marketing. It means to do your segmentation, your targeting, and most importantly, your positioning. Segment kala, target kala, position karla, right? ඔයාගේ end goal එක achieve කරන්න, right? Marketing mix will help you out, right? So what you're going to do is you will segment, you will target, and you will position, right? This is what you do, right? And your marketing mix, your 4 P's, right, will help you to do these things, right? For your product. Product, right? 4 P's, through 4 P's, right? You can follow this process and build a brand in customers' mind, right? Make it simply what you do as marketing lamai, right? Okay, so what are the different types of pricing methods which is used in marketing, right? So we have cost plus pricing. Cost plus means we have the landing cost of the product, we add a profit margin, and then we decide the price. Example, your cost is 100, then we had $20 or 20 something for as profit, and we set it as 120. That is cost plus pricing. Value based pricing means you assume, right, that the customer's perceived value, right, for this product is $200, not $120. We charge $200. Best example is Apple, right? Apple have a value based pricing. Competitive pricing, you always monitor your competitor's price and you drop it or increase it based on what the competitors does. Penetration pricing is always you try to be the lowest in the market, right? And try to penetrate into the market. Skimming, you try to set a higher price, right? And then try to get the best, right, in the market. As I said, Apple does it, right? Whenever they launch all the expensive items, they use a skimming pricing. Psychological pricing, right? As I said, it's maybe around 9, like this, right? You use 9.99 rather than using 10. May ගොඩක් කර DSI බාටා වගේ footwear brands use කරනවා. Dynamic pricing is you don't have a fixed price. You change price based on market conditions, right? You adjust it real time based on market demand, competition, and other factors, right? Then bundle pricing, as I said, you can combine things together and you set at a one price. And then the premium price, you have a premium quality product. Because of that, you have a premium price, right? It's because of the quality. Because we know in economics, we discuss there are certain products which judge the quality by price. The Veblen goods, right? We know, right? Product ke brand ke price ke වැඩි right? Means it's super quality. Example, Gucci and all these big fashion brands use premium pricing, right? Right. Then about distribution, place. So you can distribute a product either through direct distribution channels. It means there are no intermediaries, you directly distribute. What shop shop you have a website and you are the one to distribute everything. That is direct distribution. Direct to customers, D2C. Then we have indirect distributions where you use our B2B channels, maybe agents, right? Maybe wholesalers, right? An intermediary. So there is a middleman or intermediary. There is no, right? That is the difference between direct and indirect. So what happens is in direct distribution, you have more control, you have more relationships, and you have higher margins because there is no mediary. But in indirect, it's help you to reach to wide audience, scalability, and cost efficiency because your part is done once it's given to the wholesaler or an agent, most importantly, right? Distribution. Then the other one is about promotions. So price, place, and promotions, right? So what is promotions? There are different ways that you can promote. One and most common one is advertising, where we know digital and offline media advertising. Then sales promotions, right? You give short-term incentives. Then PR, right? Maybe go to political campaigns, so use kind of their PR, right? Then personal selling, right? And then direct marketing, network marketing, social media marketing, sponsorships. Those are different promotions that you can use. In exam, what they will ask, right, most probably is list different promotions. Name equation past paper list different promotions an organization can use. So you can list them. Sometimes examiner might be a little bit tricky and ask what is the difference between marketing and advertising. Methodical විදියට අපි හිතන්නේ ළමයි මොකද්ද? Advertising කියන්නේ marketing කියලා. But එහෙම නෙමෙයි. Right? Okay, then next one is branding, right? So brand and a branding means a brand, right? Is where there is these factors, right? Which help to go into consumer mind and position it to retain a loyal customers. Brand is anything that's help to identify that distinct and identify a product from another. That is branding. Example, normal phone එකයි, right? ඒකට logo එකක් ආපු ගම එක Apple iPhone එකක් වෙන්නේ because of branding, right? So that is more important because branding won't happen over the time. You need to have patience, right? To have build a proper brand. It might take years and years to build a brand. But the advantage with the branding is what? You have the loyalty. Example, the Apple වගේ නම් Apple එකේ set වුණාට පස්සේ people only buy Apple, right? They won't even go for another product, another brand, because now that is branding, but it didn't happen overnight, right? So what are the requirements of a successful brand? It have to be distinctive. It means it have to be differentiated. It have to have relevance, right? More consistent around social media and everywhere. Authenticity, flexibility. Flexibility means a brand, right? Example, it's suggested, right? Apple, if Apple use Apple Mobile as a brand name, right? Then it's going to be a problem. Why? Now they are not fully flexible, right? Because why they are not flexible? Because they have a not necessarily a name, right? Which you don't really need now to showcase a brand, right? So ඒ වගේ එකක් use කරන්න එපා. මොකද ඒකට වෙන්නේ මොකද? You can't adapt. එතන mobile එක ඉවරලා වෙන මොකක් හරි device එකක් આવුත්, right? එතකොට Apple mobile කියලා තමයි කියන්න වෙන්නේ හැමතැනම. Example like this, right? No, this is an iWatch, right? So එතකොට Apple mobile iWatch or Apple mobile watch doesn't make sense, right? But it is Apple iWatch or Apple Watch. It goes, right? So you have to be flexible also. Then you have to take more employee involvement, right? You can build around employees and you have to have protection, right? You have to have intellectual protection. You have to have legal safeguards and you have to have an emotional connection as a successful brand, right? මේකත් exam එකේදී හිම්මෙන් අහලා තියෙනවා. Then what are the branding importance? As I mentioned, recognition, right? Branding will help you to have recognition. Then the trust, right? නිකම් ෆෝන් එකක් purchase කරනට වඩා ඒකට logo එක attach වෙච්ච ගමන් people build trust, right? Then efficiency, marketing efficiency, and you have a competitive edge because you are a brand and you can even charge a premium price because you are a brand, right? So now those are the things that you need to understand in a branding perspective. What is a brand? Features of a brand, or impacts of a brand, and importance of a brand. Then the next one we are coming into play, which is digital marketing. So my digital marketing is, right, suggested that the way that how we are going to market or promote your products through digital channels, right? මොකද definition එක හැවුවොත් ළමයි promotion of products of digital through digital channels. මේක තමයි ළමයි digital marketing කියන්නේ, right? Promotion of products through digital channels. So what are the methods used in digital marketing, right? So in the modern world, we have content marketing. It means TikTok, organic content. Then you have search engine optimizing. It means you optimize for Google, right? Where your website will rank higher. That is, we call it as SEO, right? Then you have social media marketing. And you have email marketing, right? It means you send emails through your email newsletter subscribers. ඔයාලා වගේ දැන් උනත් spam mail box එකේ spam එකට ගියොත් ඇති අම්බානකට, right? Email marketing campaigns, right? Then PPC, which is, we call it as also SCM, right? Search engine marketing, right? Where you bid for clicks, right? Where you can place all your ads, right? In Google and all other websites, and you will be charged per click. We call it as PPC, pay per click, right? Then you have affiliate marketing, right? Which is a very evolving thing in around the world, where you will get paid per a referral as a commission. ඒක තමයි affiliate marketing කියන්නේ. එතකොට ගොඩක් අයට ඔයාලා දකින්න ඕන, most of the YouTubers does this, right? They will say, I'll have a link in the description, go and click. Most of the time they will get paid back. Then influencer marketing, right? As I mentioned, so much of Instagram influencers and also YouTube influencers, right? Example, Chanux, right, is an influencer marketer. And then online PR, where you might be writing a blog or maybe a news, right? Maybe on the news platforms about your product. Example, we now most of the people use Daily Mirror or maybe Newswire for these processes. These are different methods of digital marketing. Exam එකේ මේච්චර කාල ලොකු digital marketing tab කරලා most of the time they might have asked list down what are the methods, and they might ask what is search engine optimizing. That's the best that they have ever asked. And advantages and disadvantages. Exam එකේ ළමයි advantages අහලා තියෙනවා, but disadvantages එහෙම ලොකු tab කරලා නැහැ. එහෙනම් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අහන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So as I said, digital marketing has its own merits and also have its own demerits. Digital marketing in the modern world will help you specifically. Most of the things that normal offline marketing, traditional marketing does also would be done by digital marketing. But for me, there are few things which highlights or which differentiate or added more value in digital. One is, Lamai, it's more cost efficient, comparatively patta cheap. An example is ලංකාවේ TV ad එකක් දාන්න පට්ට ගන්න, පට්ට expensive. But if you use that money, and if you, even though you have a small amount of money, you can run a digital marketing campaign. Even with no money, you can run a campaign, right? You just have to make a viral video. It will go viral, right? So it's cost efficient, right? And you can see real time data. Example, then TV ad එකක් දැම්මොත් ළමයි හරියටම බලා ගන්න බෑ කවුද මේක දැක්කේ. Who saw this, right? And මේක දැකලා site එකට කවුද ආවේ. You can check. But in digital, you can track everything. It's more data driven and it has real time results also. So these three things are very important, right? In compared to traditional media marketing. But most importantly, for me, these three are more real time, cost efficient and data driven. These three are like stars, right? Which outwit the traditional marketing methods. So what are the disadvantages or the problems? One is high competition. Now, example, right now I'm outside Sri Lanka, I'm in Dubai, and most of my clients are working in US, right, Canada, and also in Middle East. And the cost is getting higher day by day because of competition. Then dependence on the technology. everything depends on softwares, right? And platforms, right? Example, if tomorrow Facebook says you can't run ads on Facebook, we don't know what to do because we're highly dependent on Facebook, right? And Meta. Then privacy and security concerns, right? Okay, like you might have experience also when you tell something closer to your microphone, or maybe you might chat in WhatsApp, right, with one of your friends, and tomorrow or the next hour, you will get all the ads, right, in your Meta, in your Instagram, and everywhere. So privacy and security is a concern, and you need to always upskill yourself, right? My industry department evolved, right? All the things evolve, and now with AI and everything comes into play, it's so evolving. Then there's something called ad fatigue. It means තමයි එකම ad එක හතර පහ පාරක් දැක්කට පස්සේ you will don't even think of engaging. So Maker is a problem with digital marketing because why? You need to have always brand new assets. But TV ad එකක් එහෙම නැහැ. TV ad එකක් දැම්මට පස්සේ ගොඩ කාලයක් run කරන්න පුළුවන්. Then negative feedback and publicity, which we can't control. Google එකේ negative reviews දාන්න පුළුවන්. අපිට control කරන්න බෑ. Then sometimes it's difficult to measure results also. Again, අපි හිතන්නකෝ example ad එකක් run කරොත් එහෙම සමහර people might not really click the ad and come and buy. But as they have seen the ad, right, they might organically come and buy. Samahat, it's have a little bit of mismatch, but it's not a very big deal. Then accessibility issues, right? The example, TikTok, right? TikTok is banned in India, banned in Australia. So if a product, right, is focused more on TikTok, right, you don't have a issue or you don't have a way to sell those products in those marketplaces, right? Then lamai, we come to the last part of marketing, which is the unethical practices, right? And why ethics needed in advertising. Lamai, in Sri Lanka, this is a more of a rule or more of an understanding among company leaders where we use ethical advertising, right, in our country. What is unethical practices means, right? I have given you some examples, like the misleading claims, right? The best thing is clinically proven, right? Sensodyne, right? Or any other toothpaste, they say it's clinically proven, but sometimes they might be misleading, right? We never know. And then the bait and switch advertising, right? You know, clickbaits, right? We use in advertising, we try our best not to use clickbaits, right? Some are clickbaits, they can more attractive thumbnail or image, but 50% off, click there's nothing. That is bait and switch advertising. False comparisons, right? Puffery means we tell it's the best in the world, but how you say it's the best in the world, right? So mostly right now in advertising also, right? If you do digital marketing specifically, you can't use these words. They will automatically switch off the ad. You can use the word like best, number one in the world, something like that. Then exploitation of fears, right? Like insurance, right? Talking about accidents and you are becoming disabled or you lose your life and then what happened to your kids, that is a little bit unethical. Then inappropriate targeting, lack of transparency, right? And manipulative visuals or statistics, right? Those are unethical practices in advertising. So why ethics are important, right? If you are an ethical brand, over the time, it will build confidence and trust and credibility among your brand and brand reputation, right? And will ensure there is no legal issues, right? And higher customer satisfaction because customers know what they tell is truth. What they tell is right all the time. But assume you tell a false thing at first, and next time you come and tell even the right things, customers won't ever believe you, right? And then fair competition, right? And then more employees also feel like you're not working for a scam, right? You feel you're working for a real brand, a genuine brand, which will lead to long-term profitability and its CSR facets, right? So with this, we are concluding the marketing management part. Now let's jump into operations management. Right, Lamai? So same way like in the way that we discuss, right? In the marketing management, right? So we'll have few areas to be discussed in operations management as well, right? So let's go into detail. So what is operations management? So operations management in very simple is where, right, you discuss all the activities in the value chain, that is understood, right? Or maybe connected with providing or making the product, right? In a business, right? So anything related to changing our inputs, right, with the process and the output, this is called as operations. From input to process to an output, this entire process is called as operations management. That's why the functions of operations management are as follows. You have to first have supply chain management. You have focus in demand, capacity planning, layout planning, production scheduling, and quality management. So all these things will be discussed in the next slides. These are the functions of operations management. And you need to understand, honestly, right? Operations, the differences between operations management, right, versus supply chain management versus production, right? So if you understood like this, operations management is including all of this. It means operations is the bigger one. Production is only the middle part. This is only production, only one thing, right? But operations is about the entire value chain, about chain. And suppliers is mostly with your inputs, right? This is you work with your suppliers and then you produce and then you derive your output. This entire process is called as operations management, just to give you understanding, right? So as I mentioned, the difference between management and production, operations management and production. Operations management is the broader perspective, where production is only manufacturing part, right? Okay, now different types of production lamai. I have given all the definitions. What is job production? One is job production. My job production is where you try to focus on individual, right? Mostly on individual, tailored, right? Bespoke, right? You focus on one job at a time. But on the other hand, in batches, right? Batches means it's almost like job, but it goes with a little bit of batch. එකක් නෙමෙයි හදන්නේ. තනව අපි ටේලර් කෙනෙක් ගාලා කොණ්ඩ කැපුවොත් එහෙම ඒක ළමයි sorry ටේලර් කෙනෙක් කොණ්ඩ කපන්නේ නැහනේ. If you go to a salon and if you go on a haircut, right? That is job production. Batch production is what you produce a batch of goods, maybe in the bakery, right? Bakery එකේ උදේට හදන පාන් සෙට් එක, right? All these things are made as batches. නැත්නම් ඕනට ඕන product එකක් ගන්න ළමයි FMCG product එකක් and you can say there's a batch number. It means it's a batch production, right? So next one is mass production, where you make for the entire market, right? More standardized, high volume, large volume, and standardized, like cars, appliances, and electronics. Those are the three main ways of how we are going to produce. Job, only one. Batch is in the middle, right? Where you produce a batch with common products, and mass is very big, which is a continuous line of production. The next one in the topic is JIT production, which is talked as just in time. The difference between JIT and a normal production is you only produce when the order is placed. It means generally lamai මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඔයාලා inventory raw materials අරගෙන stock කරලා කොහේ හරි තියලා තමයි produce කරන්නේ. But මෙතන difference එක lamai when the order happens, you recall from the customers, you ask from the suppliers, you produce and then you give it to the customer. So they are trying to reduce the inventory fees, right? This is called JIT, as the word suggests. Just in time. Then lean production, right? So lean production is focused on minimizing waste. දැන් ළමයි මම මෙතන මේ highlight කරන words තියෙනවා. මේවා තමයි exam එකේ ලියන්න ඕනේ. ඔයාට කැමති විදිහකට මේ words එක use කරලා ලියන්න පුළුවන් නම් you will get full marks, right? So lean production is minimize your wastes. Focus on waste, cost cutting, reducing cost, right? Reducing cost, right? Improving quality, right? And efficiency. This is lean. In example, now bodybuilding also, they have something called lean muscles where there's no fat, right? Now for me, I don't have lean muscles, but I have fatty muscles. It means I have excess waste, right? So lean production is we are trying to go more focused, cost focused, waste focused. That is lean production. So I have given a summary, right? Make it, what is means, how it is differentiated, and also the examples. මේ slide එකේ ඔක්කොම ටික අර ටික කතා කරපු ඔක්කොම ටික තියෙනවා. ඒකින් හොඳ ළමයි වගේ මේක බලා ගන්න. Right. Then the next thing is about supply chain, right? Operational management is about understanding about the demands, right? So there are two ways of demand. One is the push demand and the pull demand. So the word itself, push demand, pull demand. So push demand is what? You produce something and you push to the customer, push to the customer. Okay, I have a product, buy this, buy this, buy this. That is push demand. Pull demand is you wait what the customers actually need and then you respond. That is pull demand. So push demand is more focused on your forecasting, more on your planning, and more focused on your marketing because you're pushing it. Pull demand is on the other way, you see what the customers really want and you reduce your inventories, right? And you might use JIT, right? And produce something. There is no right answer, there is no wrong answer. In the world, we use both these strategies, but you understand where you fit properly your product, where your product fits the most, where your strategy fits the most, right? So you have push demand, you have pull demand, right? So exam again difference. So what are the importance of operations management, right? Operations, as I mentioned, you have the end-to-end in the full chain of producing something, providing value to something, right? So it focuses on optimizing on efficiency, quality, supply chain is more coordinated, more innovation, customer satisfaction, and then at the end of the day, competitive advantage would be given because you are focusing on your entire operations as a whole and you try to narrow down, right, your unnecessary things and try to give full focus on the aspects. So then what are the problems in operations management or service business? It's not a production, right, business, product business, it's a service business. One of the main thing is about the variability in service delivery. Example, education institute එක ළම මේකට ප්‍රශ්නයක් හදිසියරි lecture එන්නේ නැත්නම් sir එන්නේ නැත්නම් වෙන කෙනෙක් replace කරන්න හරි අමාරුයි. Why? It's variable, right? And then the capacity, right? You have to focus on your capacity in a more focused manner because you have to balance the demand and the capacity because it's service, right? අපිට අපේ අර hard product වගේ store කරලා තියන්න බෑ. Because service is you can't store, right? So you have to be more focused on your capacity. Custom interactions, right? There is more interactions happen than a more normal product business. Then intangibility, perishability, quality measurement issues, right? How to measure whether its quality is good or bad. Example, then මම මේ කරන lecture එකේ මම කිව්වොත් එimhe comment section එකේ දාන්න කියලා ඔයාලගේ comments, right? You might have mixed comments, right? Some people will say it's good, some people will say bad. And some people won't say anything also. And if I want to assess, right, whether its quality is good or bad, it's really hard for me to understand because it's a service oriented. But if it is product, you have ISO this, ISO that, right? Then you can ensure the quality is good, right? Then workforce management, right? You have to have full trained people because it's an service-based business, right? Then Lamai, in this entire supply chain and in this operations management, and topic is where concept is came from Porter, told as Porter's value chain, right? So Porter's value chain suggested, right, any business can provide value, right? Can provide value. Value means you offering something to customers, right? This mostly is go with your satisfaction, customer satisfaction. You provide value to customers, right? In your throughout your process. You won't just provide a value, right? In one step, you provide the value to customers in each of these processes. So he said, any production process, any operations management, right, process, right, or we call it as the value chain, will have two different types of activities. Primary activities, which are more direct, and you have support or you have secondary activities, which are more indirect. So primary activities will directly add value to the product or the customer. Where support activities will work as supporting pillars in this entire process. Exam they are going to test separately these aspects. What are the factors or what are the parts included in primary activity? What are the parts included in support activities? Make a wall to draw current pull one is perfect. So what this diagram suggests is, you can say, right, your primary activities are being pillared by your secondary activities, which helps you to derive the margin you want while offering value to the customers. Okay, තමයි ළමයි මේ concept එකේ holistic definition එක. So what are the primary activities ළමයි? You have inbound logistics, receiving shipments to the organization or the warehouse, that is inbound. Operations, where production, testing and all the things. Outbound, once it is produced, giving it to the suppliers, so the distributors. Marketing and sales, we know what is marketing. And the service, the after sales service, maybe customer support. These are your primary activities. Then you have your support activities, where the firm infrastructure, how the organization is built, the structure, right? The corporate governance, so on and so forth. HRM, right? Human resource management, the recruiting, the training. If you miss those aspects, you can't offer your primary activities properly. Assume you don't hire the right people, you won't have the chance to offer the right or the most important aspect of providing the quality product, because you don't have well-trained people. අපි ඒක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන ළමයි computing language එකේ garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have right people, you are in a mess, right? So HRM, the technology development part, IT, and the procurement. Procurement doesn't mean, right, only buying the raw materials, but might be buying your machines, right? That is also identified as procurement, right? But mostly, right, lamai, මෙතන procurement කියලා mean කරන්නේ, right? The supplies, all the supplies needed for your production and other things, right? Okay. Then lamai, we are coming into supply chain management. So as I mentioned, right, this is the first part of the chain. We are talking about inbound logistics, production and procurement, right? That part, and the outbound logistics, right? About the more of logistics perspective is understood as supply chain management, right? So supply chain, the advantage of supply chain is you need to have a chain, right? Chain එකක් කියන්නේ මොකද තමයි? මේක link වෙලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ නේද? එහෙම chain එකක් කියන්නේ link වෙලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. If this is properly chained, right, linked, then you will have a smooth flow of your production, which definitely will have high cost efficiency, more productivity, flexibility, customer satisfaction, more advantage, and most importantly, less risk. හරියට හොඳ supply chain management එකක් තියෙනවා නම්, supply chain එකක් තියෙනවා නම්, right, by any chance, you have less risk, right? And your suppliers won't say, okay, I don't have products for you today. Because if your relationship is good, they will always try your best to give you the right raw materials at the right time. Okay, next one is demand forecasting. ළමයි. අපි දන්නවා produce කරන්න කලින් you have to forecast your demand, right? So what is demand forecasting? Demand forecasting in simple terms, right, suggested predict the demand for the product in the future. Why we need demand forecasting, ළමයි? Because we need to have proper inventory at the right time. We need to manage our costs. Because too much of inventory will also have a cost. Less inventory will also have their cost. And more supply relationships, risk reduction, and we can do proper pricing strategies. Like example, ගොඩක් stocks තියෙනවා නම් for like Christmas වගේ කාලෙට අපිට පුළුවන් හොඳ offers දෙන්න, right? හැබැයි හදිසියෙ අපිට demand forecast කරලා නැත්නම් අපිට බඩු නැහැ. අපිට stocks නැහැ. Why? We haven't produced. If we don't have stocks, then we can't give discounts, right? So that is the advantage of demand forecasting. So what are the factors, right, going to affect demand forecasting? One is definitely your past experience, right? If we have sold in Christmas last year, you know how much of a spike in sales that you can expect. Then economic conditions, maybe tax, VAT, right? The seasonality, compete actions, technology, and any other regulatory changes will impact on your demand forecasting. So make a most important, one of the most important factors in operations management. You have to forecast your demand beforehand, right? Beforehand. Then what are the types of demand forecasting, right? You can do demand forecasting based on time period. Generally, in your syllabus, we highlight the short term and the long term, but connect a medium term cannot pull on. Under 1 year, right, is short term. Medium is generally 1 to 5 years, and more than 5 years is long term. Have exam the medium focus කරන්න නැත්නම් ඔයාලට මේක කෙලිම කියන්න පුළුවන් greater than 1 year කියලා, right? But if it is based on data scope, right, You have micro forecasting, right? Micro forecasting means you can do based on a product or a service, more micro. Or else you can do macro forecasting on a more industry level or maybe as a firm level also. It make a kick with the good companies like they do all these aspects, right? And also all these aspects of all these things, right? එතකොට period එක මේ හදලා you have different types, right? You have the market, you have the institution, you have the product, right? මේ වගේ focus කරනවා ළමයි මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා. මේක is very critical because if you don't do your demand forecasting, you will run out of products or maybe you will have overstock, which will definitely going to be a problem. Next one is ළමයි capacity planning, right? ඔන්න demand එක focus කරලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි එහෙම කිව්ව කියලා ඔයාගේ තියෙන capacity ඔයා produce plan කරේ නැත්නම් you're going to be in trouble. What is capacity, right? Is your production capacity, right? You try your best to manage or plan your capacity that you can operate in an efficiency while ensuring and while meeting the market demands. That is capacity planning lamai. So we have capacity planning strategies in 3 aspects. One is lead strategy. Lead strategy means you anticipate, right, that there would be a spike or something in your demand. Again, lead example, you have a rough idea, but you add a capacity, adds capacity in anticipation. That is lead strategy. You have lag strategy. It is where, right, you're not going to add it beforehand. You wait until demand is proven and then you add more production. Make a business might differ, right? I can't say this is the best way. And then match where you focus on small increments to match the demand incrementally. Now, an example like the car manufacturer connector, right? Lag strategy, match strategy karana bahe. Kohomad oya local production house එක overnight hadanne. And Tesla, right? They use lead strategy. They anticipate, okay, this is going to be like the full year plan and this much of demand going to come. Then I will have this much of a capacity to produce, right? Ekin lamai make a කලින් කියන්න බෑ what is best. But based on your nature of the business, based on other factors, you can decide which strategy works best for you. Whether it's lead, you take a lead, you add something to your capacity, anticipating demand. Lag strategy, you wait back and see until the demand is proven, then you increase it. Match strategy is incremental changes over the time. It's more of a concurrent game, right? Right. Then advantages, again, pretty much the same advantages like you have seen in ops management, supply chain management, efficiency, cost reduction, and risk mitigation. Right? What මේ තුන මතකයි නම් මේ ඔක්කොකට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි in a different angle, right? Okay. So what are the disadvantages? මේකෙම අනිත් පැත්ත, right, is disadvantages, right? Overcapacity, underutilization, high costs, right? මේකම මම කියන්නේ. What I'm telling is, you don't have to always buy at everything, right? මේ subject එක හිතලා ලියන්නත් පුළුවන්. The point is you to understand what does it mean. Right. Then next one is layout planning. Layout planning means how we are going to strategically arrange your physical resource in your facility. This is called layout planning. මේක නම් වගේ එක ඔයා කොහොමද ඒක layout එක හදන්නේ? Right? එහෙම නැත්නම් මේක නම් එක ඔයා කොහොමද layout එක හදන්නේ? Right? This is called layout planning. How you are going to set all your physical resources in a way that is streamlined to production. So streamline that there would be workflow efficiency, again costs, more output, safety, worker safety and morale, right? And flexibility and space utilization. What you need to understand is whether I understood the concepts differently. Then start with ops management, then we talk about supply chain management, then we talk about demand management, now we talk about capacity planning, right? And then layout planning. So differences, what is capacity planning? What is layout planning? Okay, what are the types of layout planning, right? So we have the process layout, right? Process layout එකක් කියනම it's a process, right? Like we say, right? It's a very process, and we try to group everything which are common together and go like a process. අපි මේකට කියනවා functional layout එකක් කියලා, right? Group similar resources together based on the process or the function they perform. Process එකක් එක්ක focus කරලා තියෙනවා. Example, furniture workshop එකක්, right? ඒ ඔක්කොම කපන කට්ටිය එකට ඉන්නේ, right? Then අර මේව කරන කට්ටිය එකට ඉන්නේ, right? Then polish කරන කට්ටිය එකට ඉන්නේ. That is a process layout. Then next one is product layout, which is also a line layout where the product moves, right? The sequence of operations need to produce a particular product. Product again, step by step, tuck, 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 tuck. That is very line layout, process layout, right? Mostly an automobile assembly. Or YouTube එකේ දැකලා තියෙනවා නම් කොහොමද කාර් එකක් කියන්නේ කාර් එක හදනවා line එක ඊළඟට යනවා ඊළඟට යනවා, it goes like that. Next one is fixed position layout where the product remains stationary and everything comes closer to you. Example, ships, right? Product එක තියෙනවා බඩුට ගෙනවා ළඟට. ship එකක් හදන්නේ එහෙම තමයි, right? ship එක යන්නේ නැහැ තැනින් තැනට. but car එකක් යනවා තැනින් තැනට, right? Then cellular layout. Cellular layout means this is mostly with electronics, right? So they work in cells. So you have different machines that work into cells. Cellular මෙහෙම cellular තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේක වටේ තමයි product එක යන්නේ. It goes in cellular, right? Mostly with consumer electronics. For example, දැන් ඔයාලා දන්නවනම් ඕනම phone එකක් full phone එකම ළම එක තැනකින් හදන්නේ නැහැ, right? Camera එක and all the things work in one factory, and then the motherboard and chips come in another factory, and then they assemble. It goes like that. හිතනවා camera හදනවා, camera එක නම්, right? ඒ part එක තියෙන cellular layout එකක. Camera එක ගන්න එක, polish කරන එක, fix කරන එක, quality test කරන එක, it has work in a cellular, and then go to the next one, right? That is the cellular layout. Group technology layout. Hybrid layout, which is a combine of everything, right? Different types, right? Different ways based on your requirement, right? This is example. Now the one about the industrial pumps and the consumer pumps. Pressure washer and pumps use karna, right? So if you use industrial pumps, very big and very focused, right? Then you might use a different layout, maybe a cellular layout. But if you use mass production pumps, right, for customers, normal users, then you will use a different layout, right? Next one is Lama MRP, right? MRP is the production planning, scheduling, and inventory control system, right? This help you in managing your inventory level in the most optimum manner. මේක තමයි ළම MRP එක කියන්නේ. MRP එකෙන් කරන්නේ මොකද? Material requirements planning. This is document, right? You will try your best, right, to manage and try to control your stocks into the most optimum level. That is understood as MRP. මේක වැඩි ලොකු ටෙස්ට් කරලා නැහැ exam එකේ, but you need to understand what is an MRP, right? MRP, the functions of MRP, why you need MRP to manage, right? To ensure your raw materials are available, then optimal inventory levels, right? Then everything is scheduled properly, and you will have more efficient resource allocation, right? ඔය ටික කරගන්න තමයි අපි MRP එක use කරන්නේ. So MRP is more of a documentation part, right? Schedule කරන part එක. Next one, we're jumping into the next one, which is again a frequently tested area. It is quality management, right? So quality is not a one that we even need to discuss, right? Or not a choice even. It is have to be a given one in the modern business. But in the exam, right? You have to understand. There are 2 or 4 types of costs involved in an quality management process. Quality management, you are trying to manage quality as a whole in the full process. That is quality management. There are 4 costs involved. One is prevention cost. Prevention cost means the cost you incur to avoid any quality issues. Example, providing training, providing process controls, right? Quality assurance. Those are preventive controls, preventing costs, right? Then you have appraisal cost, testing part. Produce කරන්න කලින් ළමයි preventions ගන්නවා. ඉන්න කට්ටිය හොඳට උගන්වනවා. You teach people how to produce it efficiently. That is training. And then you are, once it is produced, you are testing it, appraisals. And then if, when you test, if something goes off, if it is wrong, you'll scrap it down. Those are internal failure costs, right? Assume you are pass, right? අපි ඉතින් process එකක් විදිහට මේක හැදුවා තමයි මොකද කරන්නේ මුලින්ම you do the training, අපි කියන prevention costs, right? Then you produce, then you go to appraisal costs. If this is past, right? If this is good, if this is bad, right? Then we call it as internal failure costs. If it is good, right? It's good. But sometimes, right? If this is good, it can be good. But sometimes there can be what? External failure costs. External failure, where the warranties and all the claims would come. This entire thing, right, are involved in your quality control or in your quality management. Your prevention costs, right, and your appraisal costs, your external fixed costs, and your internal fixed costs. ඉතින් ළමයි company එකක මේක වැඩි වෙන්න මොකද්ද මේ external failure costs, external failure costs වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ it's really bad for the brand, right? For the brand. So what the companies need to invest, they need to invest more money on here, right? මේ දෙක හරියට කරගත්තොත්, right, you will save a lot of money and also a lot of brand image, impact for the brand image in your entire cost quality control process, right? Then what are the importance, right? I don't want to talk about this a lot, but I have mentioned, right? Quality is, as I mentioned, it's have to be mandatory for in the modern world business. Then what are quality circles, Ramai? So quality circles are operated in the organizations, right? These operated as small groups, right? They come together voluntarily, right, to analyze and solve quality problems, right? Make a lamai organization එක අස්සේ ගොඩක් කරලා quality circles මිනිස්සු ඇවිල්ලා pick කරන්නේ. They have to be voluntary and it have to be a small size, right? Not a very big, it have to be small, and they regular meet to avoid quality issues. මේක ළමයි manufacturing plants වල වෙනවාමයි, right? Even though you go to apparel manufacturing, maybe it MAS or maybe Brandix or maybe with an iPhone producer, this happens across the organizations. These are called quality circles, right? So difference between quality management or maybe with quality circles is these are small groups which join together to solve the quality concerns in a more faster and more up-to-date manner. Regular කරන්න තමයි මේකේ importance එක තියෙන්නේ. Right. Then in the modern world, the new technology, the new terminology evolved, that is total quality management. This is more holistic perspective where it suggested that quality of the product, right, should be an ongoing refinement, right, while it have to be more comprehensive and structured approach. Can you mean quality manage කරනවා කියලා ළමයි පොඩි දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. They say it is like you are trying to enhance the quality as an ongoing process. හැම වෙලේම වැඩි වෙන්න ඕන, right? And also this have to be more holistic, more comprehensive and more structured. That is called as TQM. The goals I have given, but the most important thing, the difference is normal quality management and total quality management is what? The word is continuous. Continuous improvement and more comprehensive and more holistic, full organization weaved, right? Way of managing quality is understood as TQM. So what are the advantages I have given? What are the bottlenecks? This is a part that which would be tested also, right? Where when you do TQM, one of the main things that have problems is the lack of commitment from top management, right? As I mentioned, quality කියන එක ළමයි production line එකේ විතරක් තිබිලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. It is not only a thing that need to be there in the production line, it should be there around or full across the business. So top management should support this entire initiative. Then resistance to change, people hard to change. So when you implement something, right, they might feel like, does it really important, right? So those kind of problems will happen. Then short-term focus, right, and poor communication. Short-term focus means like you introduce something today, and then the results are not really impactful, right? So you feel like, okay, it doesn't need. But සමහරට ළමයි ඒක impact එකගෙන අවුරුද්දකින් දෙකකින් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So when you be very short-term focus, you lose the moral of this. So likewise, I have given some bottlenecks, right, in TQM. Please do have a look. Next, Lamai, the 5S method, right, which is a Japanese method, right? Again, talking about the systematic approach, right? Systematic approach, right? They have identified sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. Make exam එකේ ළමයි ලොකු touch කරලා නැහැ. අහලා තියෙන එකම එක තමයි what is 5S method and this 5 S's, right? Make a product by heart part එකක්, right? Again, talking about quality management path, right? How to create a clean, uncluttered, safe, and well organized workplace. 5S again කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? How to have a clean, uncluttered, safe, and well-organized workplace where people are more motivated to work and don't feel like everything is everywhere. The next one is Kaizen. Again, Kaizen is more closely linked to continuous TQM, right? Where they say change for better or continuous improvement. That is what the Kaizen means. And it says even in CEO of the company should involve in these incremental changes, right? That is Kaizen as a whole. Then, Lame, what are the new technologies used in operations management, right? You know what is CAD? CAD means computer aided designing, where you use technology to design things, right, in a more advanced and more analyzed and more modified manner. Then computer aided manufacturing is where you use CAD designs, right, maybe other designs, and involved with computer controlled production, right, manufacturing systems. Now, my first job was in an apparel manufacturer, right? මගේ පළවෙනිම job එක ළමයි මම කරේ apparel manufacturer කෙනෙක් ගාව, right? ලොකු manufacturer කෙනෙක් ගාව ලංකාවේ තමයි මගේ first job එක. Actually, it's my internship, right? So I have witnessed these two things, right? How the designing of this apparel we wear, right, is happening, and how CAM is used, right, to manufacture. Example, is that when you talk about cutting, someone need to cut it through a machine like this, but now it's just one button, tap, it's cut, it's properly cut into small pieces on the dot. That is computer manufacturing. Then computer integrated manufacturing, where this is a place where both are integrated. CAD and CAM is integrated, right? ඉස්සර කරේ මොකද? CAD designer කෙනෙක් design කරනවා, එයා ඒක අරන් ගිහිල්ලා එක්ක ඒක manually හදනවා. නැත්නම් manually input කරපු එකක් manufacture කරනවා. SIM එකෙන් කරන්නේ මොකද? It's more integrated. CAD එකයි CAM එකයි දෙකම එකතු කරලා, right? Design කරලා එතනින් button එකක් ඔබනවා, it goes to manufacturing and then it goes across the organization. That is SIM. Then in the modern world, I think these are very common things, which is I have put in the operations management. But what is AI? I think everyone knows what is AI in the modern world, but it's more of computer science created systems to try their best to match the human intelligence, right? And machine learning is one of the core subjects or core topics that has been discussed in AI. Then blockchain. And blockchain means it's more decentralized ledger, right? But I'm trying my best to help. Blockchain is a decentralized ledger, which everything happens through multiple computer networks, right? Specifically, Bitcoin is happened through Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is happened through blockchain, where there is no centralized ledger. Centralized ledger can lamai දැන් මොකක්ද transaction එකක් වුණොත් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මොකද? We have an example with it, right? We'll take an example. There's a transaction happen from A bank to B bank, right? Then these records would be recorded in A bank, right? A bank repository and B bank repository. Let's see, by any chance, right? A bank and B bank, right? lose their servers, then this transaction will be gone off. But blockchain happens is like when a transaction like that happen, it will not only record in one place, they will be recorded in multiple places, right? This is called the decentralized ledger. Okay, තමයි ළමයි difference එක. ඕක ළමයි මේකේ මේ තියෙන අපි කියන්නේ gimmick එක, right? That is blockchain. හරි ළමයි. So with this, then we'll come to the last part, right, of the topics to be discussed, that is strategic management, right? This is going to be more of a very short and sweet area, but let's try to keep up the motivation and go to the next few slides also. Okay. Right on. Right. So what is strategy and strategic management, right? So strategy, right, refers to a very high level plan where we try our best, right? We derive a plan to achieve a specific long term and a short term goal, right? Okay, තමයි ළමයි strategy කියන්නේ. මේක strategic management එක strategy කියන එක ලොකුවටම ආවේ in the warfare, right? Wars වල තමයි ගොඩක් strategy කියන එක ගැන කතා කරේ, right? One of the greatest book is The Art of War by Sun Tzu, right? A Chinese warlord or maybe a commander, right, has written this book, which is a very valid until today, which discuss about the strategy, right? So strategy is more of making a very long-term goal and a plan to achieve it based on whatever the short-term objectives and the environmental factors around that. Okay, තමයි ළමයි simply strategy කියන්නේ. So strategy management කියන්නේ is more of to organizations, it's more of a systematically coordinated plan. How you are going to align your resources and your actions to hit that or to achieve that long-term goal. Okay, තමයි strategic management කියන්නේ. Management එකට difference එක මොකද? Strategy එකේ plan goal එකයි plan එකයි තියෙනවා. But strategic resource එක තමයි strategic management එක තමයි වාට ඕන කරන resources, the resources you want, and make it more systematically and link everything and let it go, right? Let it help it to grow is what is understood as strategic management, right? So in top levels, right, you will learn about the strategic management as a whole. Like if you're discussing about I would say other courses, and if you're doing a degree, strategic management is one of the core topics to be discussed, and very important topic. Actually, one of my favorite areas in the business management segment is strategic management, right? Okay, so what are the characteristics of a good strategy, lamai? Strategy have to be have to have clear objectives, and it have to have a long-term focus. It have to be innovative, and it should be feasible that you need to achieve it, and you'd have that competitive advantage over your competitors, and you have to have internal consistency, so on and so forth, right? So exam make ahala thiyena multiple times, frequent times. So out of all these things, right, you can keep a couple of things in your mind. Right. So what are the levels of strategy, right? So we know every organization, right, has different levels. Same like you have different levels of strategy in an organization. So you will have corporate strategy where the discussion is to discuss and identify about the overall scope and direction of the organization. Maybe, right, stepping into a new market, maybe about acquiring a new business, maybe to go global. Those are corporate strategies. Again, discussing about the overall scope or the direction of the organization is corporate strategy. Next, you have business level strategy, what we call as the competitive strategies, where we discuss as small business units. Example, let's say John Keells, right? John Keells has multiple businesses, right? But John Keells as a whole, right, if they want to discuss of expanding into Maldives, going to India, that is corporate strategy. But if they want to discuss about how Keells give their pricing, right, to the customers, right, that is more business unit level strategies, right? How we are going to position the business against the competitors. Make a mukad business level. This is more competitive, competition based. But corporate is more holistic, more long term, more scope, right? But business is more narrowed down, more focused, right? So about like example, you want to be more cost leader, right? You want to be cost leader, you want to be differentiated. Those things are discussed about business strategy. Then the last one is the functional or your operational strategy, where you talk about your functional areas, maybe about your marketing campaigns, how your marketing campaign should, how your brand positioning should be, right? How your new manufacturing things should be. Those are called as functional strategies or as operational strategies. You know the lamai corporate, you think of the bigger perspective. John Kills as a whole. Then business level, Kills, how you give your pricing, right? Kills supermarket. Then functional, inside Kills, how your marketing team going to offer a strategy to build that positioning. That is functional level. තේරුණා නේද? ඕක තමයි three types of levels of strategy or three types of strategy in a business organization. Then what are the factors affecting a strategy? Now my factors affecting strategy, you have internal factors and you will have external factors. Up external factors ළම අපි කතා කරලා තියෙනවා in early lessons. Your pestle. මම හිතන්නේ මේක වල දැන් හොඳටම පට්ට ගහලා ඇති, right? This concept, right? How pestle forces, political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental. These are external, where you can't control. You can't control. But these things are the things that you can control. Right? So your internal factors, right? And your external factors, right? Impact on making a strategy, right? ඔයාගේ ඇතුලේ තියෙන දේවල්, ඔයාගෙන් එළිය තියෙන දේවල් එක තමයි ඔයා strategy එක formulate කරන්න ඕන, right? Like what are the factors in internal? Organizational structure, culture, the leadership, your resources, and most importantly, where you are, your current performance. This helps in deriving and defining a proper strategy. Next one is strategic plan. Strategic plan can have a strategy, right? We are going to derive and put them into a book or maybe a document. That is strategic plan. It is the formal document, right? That outlines everything you need, right? To achieve those documents, right? This is like the අපි කියන මේකට road map එකක් වගේ මේ වාගේ coaching guide එක on your strategy. මේක ඉතින් අර පට්ට හොඳ framework එකක් we are going to keep or we are going to secure as much as we can, right? Then lamai, another topic that is going to be discussed is about benchmarking and gap analysis, right? So benchmarking and gap analysis are two different concepts. It's not the same concept. People get it misunderstood. Benchmarking, right, is a process of comparison, right? You compare, right? You compare with your industry leaders and your best in class. The purpose is to understand what they are doing right. Good case practices. What are the good things they do? That is benchmarking. Benchmark, right? But gap analysis is, this might be internally, right? You analyze where is my current performance and in compared with the desired goals. Example, like you have A organization and B organization. Let's see, right? I'm just giving numbers. A organization is your organization. You are making 100 million. B organization, right, is making 100 billion. So benchmark karana, you are trying to first do benchmarking with A and B and see what are the good things they do. What are the right things they do? How they do their marketing, how they do their production, so on and so forth. That is called benchmarking. Then you come and say, okay, my goal is from A, from 100 million, I'll first try to hit 500 million. That is my goal, right? Now, maybe after 1 year, you are doing a gap analysis and see what went wrong or what are the reasons, whether I achieved this number or whether I couldn't achieve this number. That is the difference between gap analysis. මම මේක තේරෙන විදිහටම කියන්නම්. ඔයාගේ යාළුවා ඉන්නවා. එයා ක්ලාස් එකේ පළවෙනියා. ඔයා ක්ලාස් එකේ අන්තිමයා, right? You are trying to understand what are the good things she does or he does. That is benchmarking. Then you have an internal goal to yourself. Okay, I'm at the last of the class. I want to come to 10 of the class. Not 1, maybe 10. And then end of next year, you might be not 10, you might be 15. Then you are doing a gap analysis and see why I couldn't become the 10 of the class. That is gap analysis. That's the difference between benchmarking and gap analysis. The next one is the topic that is frequent tested in exams is Michael Porter's 5 forces model. So Michael Porter suggested when you talk about strategy, right? Specifically in business strategy and also in corporate strategy, you are trying to enter into new markets. Or you are trying to understand the market you are, right? You are trying to understand the industries, new industries of the existing industry. So what Porter said is like, there are 5 forces which derive how attractive, right? How attractive an industry is. Market එකක්, industry එකක් කොච්චර attractive ද කියලා, right? Decide කරන forces පහක් තියෙනවා. There are 5 forces. So one of them is what? Threat of new entrants. Then bargaining power of buyers, threat of substitutes, bargaining power of suppliers, and the rivalry competition with the existing customers. So in exam, what you need to understand is, examiner will ask these 5 forces, right? ගොඩාක් ලොකුවට ඔයාලගේ level එකේ අහන්නේ නැහැ, because strategic management is like a small lesson, right, in your syllabus, but try to get understanding. Why 5 forces? This helps you to understand the attractiveness or the competition in an industry, whether it's good to enter or whether it's not good to enter, right? So what do you mean by threat of new entrants, right? If an industry has so much of barriers to enter, right, it means the threat of new entrants are low. Industry එකට අලුතෙන් කට්ටියට එන්න අමාරුයි නම්, if it is so hard for new people to come into the industry, right, it means, right, the threat of new entrants are low, very low, right? Then this is an industry where you can even create a monopoly, oligopoly. Why? Less people will come. Then based on your business understanding, you can make a choice whether it's good enough for me to go or not, right? Vice versa. If there is no barriers to entry, everyone will come. Then threat of new entrants are high. Then you can decide whether it's a good industry for me to come and no. Next one is bargaining power of buyers. Assume there are so much of suppliers with very few amount of buyers. Then they will have higher bargaining power, right? They will decide whom to buy, what to buy, and so on and so forth, right? Then threat of substitutes, right? If there is so much of substitutes, then you can decide whether it's attractive or not. Next one is bargaining power of suppliers. If the number of suppliers are very small, or maybe the size of the suppliers are very big, then you can decide whether its industry is attractive for me to go or not. And the rivalry among competition, right? If there is so much of competing firms each other, or maybe few competitors with big brands, then it's a different scenario. My example my classes is the telecommunication industry, right? If you want to analyze, if you want to introduce another new telecommunication brand to the country, you can do this 5 forces model analysis and see whether it's good to go or not, right? Example, threat of new entrants. Generally, it's hard to introduce a new telecommunication brand into Sri Lanka. Why? So much of barriers to entry, specifically with the fixed costs of building the towers and regulation part. So threat of new entrants are very low, right? On the other hand side, bargaining power buyers, also like not that much, but people are complaining, right, on certain aspects. And threat of substitutes, there is threat. There are 4-5 brands which are very big. There is hard to compete. And bargaining power suppliers, right? In this aspect, might be the tower producers, right? So it's also high, right? Because up in Sri Lanka, most of the towers are owned by either Mobitel or Dialog. So you have to rent from your competitors, which is slightly high. And the competition is very high within the existing partners. So you can decide whether it's a good industry or not, right? Okay, next one. Next one is Ansof's matrix, right? Ansof suggested when you are introducing a business, right, you have to decide on these 2 aspects and see where you are fitting your product into. Whether, right, you have 2 ways of understanding. Either you can produce, right, you can focus on markets, or you can focus on your products, right? one option you have is you can provide an existing product to an existing market, right? The only way, right, you can provide an existing product to an existing market is through market penetration. It means lowering your price, being the cheapest. That is the only way you can successful in this business model. You have to give the same product at the lowest price, then you can cater to the existing market and make successful. The next strategy is you can provide an existing product, but to a new market. That is what we call as market development. Where same product, new market, maybe going into outside Sri Lanka. That is market development, right? Next one is what you are trying to give a new product to an existing market. That is called product development, right? So you are introducing a new product to an existing market, which is called product development. And the last but not least, the highest risk category, you are introducing a new product to the new market, which is high risk, but also will have high returns if it works good, right? Where we call it as diversification. So what Ansel suggested is that you can have a strategy based on markets or based on products. Either you can give existing products to an existing market. The only way to successful is being the cheapest in the market. We call it as penetration. Or you can develop a new market by providing the same product to a new market. We call it as market development. Or else you can have new products to an existing market, what we call as product development. And last but not least, diversification, which is the highest risk and high return one. You are offering a new product to a very new market, and you are being the first mover in that market with that product. That is called diversification, right? So Lamai, with this, then we are concluding the AAT 2 business management webinar, support webinar. So if anyone wants this document, just you can reach me out, right? And I'm more than happy to help you out. So I think we did quite a good job, right, today. And as I mentioned, right, subject is very easy as long as you understand the context and concepts. And I'm there to help you out whenever that you want. You can feel free to reach me out in any of the platforms, right? I'll try my best to help you out in my biggest capacity, right? So then thank you once again, Lamai. Thank you for choosing AAT. It's one of the good professional qualifications for you to kickstart your professional journey. And I wish you all the very best for the exam. And thank you for joining. And I'm Sunny Ravas, signing off for the day. Thank you.